delighted to have as my guest today, Shari Thompson. Welcome to the show, Shari.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here.
Oh, I'm so delighted. So I met you a couple of weeks ago and I was just bowled over by not only your energy, but your story, all of the kind of entrepreneurial ideas that you're getting off the ground. And I just thought, I've got to interview you on the show because I think you'll be a real inspiration for people. So thanks so much. Shari, just perhaps start. You've got a great marketing company, Green Jelly, and that started with an idea when you were 18. And so maybe we'll start there. Share with us what happened since then.
No problem. So I did my degree and did it in marketing. And when I was 18, I had this brainchild that I was going to have this marketing company called Green Jelly Marketing. So when people ask me where the name came from, I have no idea. I was a student at the time, so it could have been anywhere. And I tried to start it a couple of times. I've always worked in marketing in senior level management and, progressed, did my MBA and did all the things that you do in your career. And I still had this kind of niggling thought, I guess, this niggling idea. And because I'm so naturally creative, if I've got an idea, it niggles and niggles and niggles until I actually do something with it. And so I'd started to try and do something with it a couple of times really, but I never actually got anywhere with it. And I was working full time and there didn't seem like this big kind of push to do it. So what happened was that I ended up working in in North Yorkshire, which is 200 miles away from where I live in Shropshire. So I moved up there and fell pregnant with a baby that I was told at 15 I would never have actually.
Really?
Yeah, and at the same time as saying I'm going to have a marketing company called Green Jelly, I also had this idea that I would have a baby boy called Archie. And so I believe that that I've manifested him from somewhere. So, and 2 months prior to falling pregnant with him, I was told I needed a hysterectomy. And I said, no, I'm having a baby. So, and then I fell pregnant 2 months later.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah, well, I'd actually gone for IVF and asked the doctor if I could have IVF, and he said, absolutely, but I think you're already pregnant. And I was. So
oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Miracle baby. So,
oh.
Unfortunately, fortunately, whichever way you look at it now, his father didn't want to be involved. So when I was 6 months pregnant, he left. And so I decided to do the most sensible thing I could do, which was to move back to Shropshire where my family, my support and my house and everything was here. So I came back, but I was left in a financial situation which meant that I still had to work all the way through maternity. So I was travelling backwards and forwards to North Yorkshire and leaving Archie for 3 days a week with my fabulous parents who, were a great support and have a very close bond with Archie. But I didn't become a mum so that I could leave Archie and go and do this work thing. And I was thinking, I've got this thing, Green Jelly Marketing, it's in my head. I'm just going to do it. It's now or never, I'm just going to do it. So when Archie was 4 months old, I started Green Jelly Marketing. And for a marketing company, I couldn't actually do any marketing because the director from the company I was employed in lives in my local area as well. So I had to be very covert, which is kind of ironic, really, for a marketing company. So I had to develop relationships and go networking. And to this day, the business has grown off the back of referrals and relationships and recommendations. So it's been really powerful to build it from that basis in the first place because that's kind of seeded the way that it's grown and progressed from there.
Yeah. Oh, that's an amazing story. So it was almost it was now or never because you couldn't take Archie away from the support system, and you wanted to be back, and that's what got you going. I'm amazed. I didn't know that you'd been told at 15. Fancy being told that at such a young age and then wanting children. I'm going to just stay on Archie for a bit because I know he's like. Is it school now, isn't he, just across the road?
Yeah, he is. I can literally see the school out of my patio doors here.
Fantastic. That really is setting life up to be a lot more simpler, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And you've got some really wonderful ideas on schooling.
Yes, I do. Controversial ideas.
Yeah.
So my theory is that he would get more out of experiencing the world, combining that with education, than he would by sticking to a traditional education route. So my big aim really is to world school Archie. And what that means, because people say, what does that mean?
Yeah.
I think it's different things for different people. So for me, it's about exploring the world and about experiencing different cultures. It's also about being able to help on the ground in communities that don't have the same luxuries that we have, and so that he can understand and have genuine gratitude. Because in this bubble that we're in, of course, he doesn't know any different. So when I'm saying you need to be grateful and appreciate what you have, well, he has no point of reference, so it's really unfair of me to say that to him, really. So to be able to go and experience and be able to give back and help is something which is really important to me. But it's also about looking at the different ways that people school children. So for instance, there's a school in Ibiza which really focuses on play and developing through play until they get to a much older age to start doing the formal stuff than they do in the UK. And so that fits for where he is now. But then there's also schools, for instance, the Green School in Bali, which really focuses on being conscious, on being resourceful, on being entrepreneurial. And so all these things which would be brilliant for him when he's a bit older. So I think for me, the way that world schooling looks is to match all of these things to his progress, but also enable him to experience and really understand what it is that we have and what we can create, instead of relying on, I went to school, I had a good education, I did A-levels, I did a degree, I did a master's, I got onto the career path, and that's how I was brought up, and that's fine, that it works. But for me, I felt like there was more, and when you're employed, it's a very different journey, as you know, to being self-employed and creating your own business. They're two different worlds, and you have to be creative and resourceful in order to mobilise a business.
Yeah.
And I feel like even if Archie doesn't want to mobilise a business or go the same path as me, those skills are still infinitely powerful. And I believe that he would get more of that by doing the world schooling route.
It's absolutely fascinating. Because I haven't got children, I haven't sort of heard about, I don't know whether I can use that as an excuse, I haven't heard about these things. But what an amazing way to put it, that, when you make that comparison between working in an organisation, which I have done, and working on your own, neither are simpler or less hard work. They just do require very different skills.
Very different. I was in senior management all my career, so I thought, I'm doing all these really high-level stuff, mergers, acquisitions, international relationship development, all like, very high-level stuff. I can run a business. This is easy. Whoa, this is and it's not that easy. You don't have that support network around you. If you don't show up, you don't get paid. If you don't do what's right, you can't pay your mortgage. It's a whole different ballgame. Yeah. And because you've got that pressure, and I think because you've got, they say you've got skin in the game, it's a whole different pressure, and that is with you all the time.
Yeah.
And even if you're high up in corporate world, you can switch off at times. In your own business, no chance.
Yeah. No, it's very true. I mean, I took some time off. Well, that's not true either. I went to New Zealand over Christmas and really, was looking forward to a good holiday. But it's impossible to, and especially in the businesses that we run, there's an element where we want to be connected with everybody who's involved with us. We're involved with social media, etc. It's not something you can turn off. And also, you get those niggly little ideas that come to you that need to be sort of jotted down. So what do other people think about the idea? Because I gather if you would go and do world schooling, you would go with him and be there.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So I've had a lot of mixed feedback, as you can imagine. So, one of the biggest challenges that I have a new partner now, and he has two children in the UK. So that puts a whole new dynamic on how that could even work. And, that's a big debate in our house.
Yeah.
But in terms of how people have responded to it, I think there's a lot of misunderstanding around it. There's not, and because there's different meanings and different definitions to different people, it's that they don't understand what that means. But, even in my family, there's been comments that I'm doing Archie a big disservice, I think was the word, a big disservice by taking him world schooling, because he has got that bond with my parents and he has got that bond with my family, and I'm trying to explain that it would just be like me moving away in the UK. We'd still be coming backwards and forwards, and you've got somewhere great for holiday. So, so it's interesting from that point of view. And my sister is an English teacher in secondary school, so of course she has a very different idea about the education system and what's right and what's not. So we have a lot of debates. But I think that because I feel so strongly about it, that it's something that I have to make happen. Because why should I not, based on what other people think? And I'm a bit like that in a lot of what I do, really. And maybe I'm a bit rebellious, but if I can see that that's right, then it's looking at a norm, a system that's given as a norm, or a paradigm, or a traditional model, and saying, does this work? And really asking the question, because I think that in everything that we do, we take the path of least resistance sometimes, and I've done that too.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always feel right. So you're taking something which you've maybe been taught, or maybe it's the cultural belief system or the cultural paradigm that you're in, that's the right way to go.
Yeah.
But if you step back and do, I spent some time lecturing at master's level, and I had to teach people how to do critical thinking. So it's about stepping back and saying, why? Why is that right? Why should we do it that way? And then maybe thinking, well, this doesn't feel right, so why is this not feeling right? And really starting to question what is there, but also how you react to what is there and what you're doing, which you believe is the right path. So for me, it's all those questions that made me think, this doesn't feel right. Yeah. And the more I explored it and the more I developed an understanding around the schooling system here versus other schooling systems, the more I was convinced that that's the right thing to do.
Yeah. And it's, when you think back, if we were imagining being a child again, we'd be, take me to Bali.
Yeah, and I found this amazing treehouse we could live in. So.
Oh my goodness! And it is just such a short time that you have to experience that. You've got Archie, and you've only got him once, haven't you?
Yeah.
You only can have that experience once.
I know, and he's 5 next month, and so I keep saying he's 5. It's in my head he's 5, but he's not. He's 4, and he's very confident, and he's very socially aware. To the point where he's already getting embarrassed about girls at 4. And that's my big wake up, that he's going to be grown up, and it's a missed opportunity for him to really explore the different ways of learning, because it becomes his paradigm then, in the same way that when we went through school, that became our paradigm, and that was what was done. And so it's something that I'm very aware of in terms of how old he is as well.
Yeah, because you have him, probably a lot of people say, well, they're only 4 at the moment, you don't need to think about it. But I have had the pleasure of my friends having children around me, and my sister, my nephews and nieces, who are now in their 20s. Yeah. And I kind of go, well, what happened to those 20 years? What really happened? And I'm sure parents all over the world do that. Yeah. But I often look at it as they have got their children as the product of those 20 years. And for somebody actually who hasn't got children, I suddenly think, well, what's the product of my 20 years? But I know, so my life is passing as quickly as that. And actually, you're inspiring me. It's kind of my next 20 years will pass as well.
Yes.
Why couldn't I go to school in Bali or doing something
Yeah,
like that?
absolutely. And life's an adventure, and I think, the more you explore and the more you experience that, Archie goes abroad quite a lot, but we've never done Disneyland or anything like that. It's about exploring different cultures and really getting immersed in that culture so that he can understand different foods and different languages. We do a lot of French in the car at the moment because we're going to France in a couple of weeks. So that he can experience all those things that I think are really important at this age when he's a sponge. Yeah. And I think it's funny, like you say, when you have children or children around you,
yeah.
they become the benchmark of time because time didn't used to go that fast before. But as soon as you're pregnant, you're counting off in weeks. And then when they're born, you're counting off in weeks and then months. And then it's like 4.5. And you count more when there's children around than you do if you're just, living your life.
Yeah.
It becomes a big reminder, really, I think.
I think it just sounds so exciting. And I was only reading an article the other day about a lady who'd taken her teenage daughter off to do some work, I think in Africa, just to demonstrate to her how much she had, because the term "don't know you're born" is probably the right one.
Yeah.
And I guess really in terms of green jelly, it's interesting you had some of those ideas at the same time, because you'll be able to take that business with you.
Absolutely, and because all these ideas are popping up into my head all the time. So there's lots of other businesses which are being planned and coming to fruition at the moment, which are also laptop lifestyle businesses that I can run from anywhere. So having that and being able to create that freedom is something which I want to teach Archie in the process, because you can have all the freedom you want, you have to be able to create it.
Yeah. And how many people are creating businesses where they have got their laptop and the laptop lifestyle, but actually they're not using it in that way. They're using it not to go into work, but they still work every day. So to be able to go and do it, finish work, and then go hiking in the hills or...
Definitely. And for me, I think it's this elusive thing that people talk about called work-life balance.
Yeah.
Being able to build that into it as well, because, I love my business, but I haven't quite got the balance right. And it's something that I'm work in progress with. And I understand that I have to do these things, but, I just love my businesses so much that it's trying to get that balance. But I think that when you're in that environment, it becomes easier. And sounds like an excuse really, doesn't it? But I think because you can go out and experience it so much more, and, especially the things like helping in the communities, and particularly communities that are less well off and less fortunate, is, I think, a really big part of it for me.
I'm so pleased. I've interviewed you. I wanted to get online and see where I can go and what I can do.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Shari. What would be your, if you had a message for anybody who was thinking about stepping outside of the norm like that, taking their laptop and going to another country, or even taking their children and going to another country, what would be your message?
If you feel called to do it, then you have to look at why you're feeling called to do it, and then you have to ignore the naysayers and make it happen, because life is short and, we don't get this time back. And if you go and do it, what's the worst that's going to happen? If it doesn't work, you can come back.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing to lose.
We can always come back, can't we?
Of course.
Oh, thanks, Shari. It's been. I didn't know the interview was going to go in that direction, so it's been a really fantastic time for me. Thanks so much. And I'm going to obviously follow you closely and see where you head. And I know also that you're very inspirational with your green jelly marketing, so I'll put all the details down below, because you step outside the norm with that business as well. So thanks very much.
It's my pleasure. You might be able to follow it a bit more, because, as we mentioned last time, I've had some ideas around creating documentaries, or maybe getting people on board
right.
it as well, in order to promote the idea and make it more of the norm, I guess.
Yeah, and what I love about that is, as soon as you have the idea and the energy goes out, well, you're already on Leading Ladies TV.
Absolutely.
The last person that said to me I'd like a documentary done, it was on a lady who works in a business that I work with. But it was within about 3 months. She didn't even go out and do anything to make it happen. Well, it's the BBC actually. That show will be on the BBC really soon. So they've had a documentary done on their business, which is just so exciting. But it's those ideas and saying it out loud. So well done.
Power of intention, absolutely.
Okay. All right then. Well, that's another fantastic interview on Leading Ladies TV, and thanks to Shari.